Hi, guys. Welcome to bright, sunshiny Alabama. This week's projects are numerous. We're trying to get the vegetable garden and all of our flower beds into spring shape. And this project that I'm working on right now is taking away the sweet gum pods that I did not put cardboard underneath and adding cardboard because there's just too many weeds and grasses trying to grow up in between. So I didn't put cardboard down originally because I thought the sweet gum pods would just be blown with all of our wind right off of the cardboard, but I just can't stand the weeds. So we're going to go ahead and take care of this and hopefully get this project taken care of once and for all. So I'm just going to cut the cardboard to size, then sweep those or layer those sweet gum pods back on. I was originally going to do the whole hedgerow with sweet gum pods, but I just didn't have enough. So I did have to mulch the other end with just a wood. I used a brown colored mulch. And this hedge, you may remember, we decided to put in to help with herbicide drift from the neighbor's farm. They haven't sprayed yet. We hope that is going to be continued, but they probably will spray at some point, and in years to come, this will help keep down the loss of plants from herbicide drift. I'm not sure if the letter we sent them worked or not, but the sprayer did come by earlier, a couple weeks ago now, and he sat there in the field for a while, never ended up spraying, just turned and left after 5, 10 minutes. And so I'm not sure if it worked and he was aware that it was blowing our way and decided to spray later or what, but so far, so good. Our second project this week is at the front of the house, and I was honestly not going to do this till next year, but I'm adding so many plants to this planter, it's just time to get this dug up. So here's the landscape fabric that is who knows how many decades old. It is transparent. It is tough as nails. You have to cut it with a cutter or scissors. And so what I'm doing here is just trying to work around. These are kind of volunteer corn plants. I believe there's two different colors, and I'm not sure if the second color is not a true corn plant or a different perennial altogether. I planted a packet of dollar store perennial seed mix, and this is one of the plants we got up from that. I like them. I just would like them grouped into a drift towards the back of the planter, not up front. So I'm just going to kind of scoop all of these cornflower plants up, put them into a pile, and then I will be transplanting some into the south border that I have already done, and the rest I'll save for this particular planter. So I've got my process, which I kind of learned from doing the south end planter, and I'm just using the landscape fabric to kind of bundle up all of this mulch, and then I'll go in and I'll rake and weed, kind of scoop up any mulch that was missed. And these are roots from the Russian sage that I didn't like how it grew in this planter. It was more of a sprawling than an upright. And I'm not sure if that was just the conditions or if the soil. I'm not sure if there's a different variety that's more whatever. But I weeded that up, and then this is the peony that I planted, and I definitely want to save it. I've got a row of these dahlias right against the foundation that came back up. Nice big bulbs on them, so I'm hoping we can preserve these. I love dahlias. I wish these were a little taller, but still beautiful nonetheless. And then I've added these rocks to kind of help with the gully washer rains we get that just come over the gutters, and that kind of helps with erosion and moving the mulch around the planter. So here I am, trying to get all of this weed fabric. I end up taking the tall corn flowers out there and then working over to this boxwood. It is so handy having an appliance dealer just down the road from us so I can get access to cardboard just about any time I need it. So now we're on the second half of the planter. Again, just continuing raking the mulch away, putting the cardboard down, and then raking the mulch back on. As I get to this end of the planter and the bamboo surround is a viburnum that I added this spring. No, it hasn't broke dormancy yet, so it's either dead or it's still dormant. Well, time will tell on that. And as I get to this other end of the planter is where my phlox is. Now, I planted this and I cut away a hole, planted the 4 plants. Unfortunately, as it spread, the new growth is, going into the landscape fabric, not into the ground. So I am going to have to disrupt them, which doesn't make me happy, but hopefully they'll rebound. Now I'm going to plant my drift of these cornflowers, and this is about half of the drift. I moved the other half of the plants over to the other end planter and add those in a couple places, just kind of again as a background plant. The next big project is getting the vegetable garden ready. And I had to cover last night. We did have a freeze, so I've covered the cabbage, the lettuces, and these are snow peas growing on a net trellis against the back fence. I've moved my planters that I've got my flowers started in back here too, just covered them with a towel, so I moved those out. And this netting, I use the nails that I tack the netting up with to attach clothes hooks so I could put this sheet up, and that did work out very well. And here's how the snow peas are doing. Today's project, though, is the second raised bed that we're putting the sides on. I've got the soil kind of covered up with my cardboard and these raised bed blocks. The soil is a combination of the raised bed mix from last year, where I had my 3 raised beds. I've combined them into these 2 raised beds. And then the sand that we removed from the moving the pool liner away from the garden bed. We did that over the winter when we tilled up that sand. And then I'm going to screen all of that and then top it with some leaf mold and then my compost. So what I'm doing here is having to level out the bottom row. This is a 2 by 6 by 12 that we're putting in. You can see I've finished the right side here. Now I'm finishing the left side. And the right side took probably an hour to get it level, which always takes longer. This side, it took under a half an hour. And most of that was because I have to dig down a couple inches on the side of the garden toward the fence because there is a slope. So I'm trying to account for that. And once I've got this basically even, this is not quite a 30-inch bed here. It's more like 27 and a half because I forgot to check it before I started. Oops. But we'll get this in with the same that we did the other garden bed, some 4-inch galvanized L brackets on the end, and we'll get that screwed in. Now, these are not very weighty screws. I'm not sure if I'll have to upgrade those to 1.25-inch screws later on. I've also been thinking that these 12-foot beds may need some support in the center of them to keep them bowing out. And in that case, I'll just do like a 2 by 2 pressure treated stake on the outside of the bed, but I'm not quite positive of that yet. We'll just have to see how these perform. So I basically got the bed prepared, built before lunchtime, and now this is after lunch, and I'm coming in and I'm going to screen out all of these roots and twigs and rocks and mulch. Some of the mulch that I had laid in the walkways got put into this particular bed, so it's a lot of mulch, wood chips, and these are wood chips that I made from trees on the property. So we'll screen all of that stuff out and throw that in the compost pile and hopefully be left with a nice fluffy mix. And here's what it looks like once the leaf mold is on and a couple inches of compost. There's a look at both beds ready to go. I did add some more compost on the bed to the left here, so it kind of matches up with the bed to the right. Looks pretty nice. I'm excited to get plants in the ground. And we finished a bunch of other projects too, or at least started some projects. These dogwoods we had bought to go along the road at the front of the property, and those ended up going along the driveway. So I didn't need these. I'm just going to pot them up temporarily until we figure out what to do with them. I've brought up my tomato plants from the basement to start hardening them off outside. And while I didn't get my big forsythia in the backyard moved, I did get portions of it cut off and put into the front planters. In front of the forsythia is a small drift of the cornflowers we moved. There's a better view of that forsythia. And then we'll swoop around here. These are boxwoods and some monkey grass or liriope. And here's the second swoop of these little cornflowers. And there's that white one. Not sure if that is a cornflower or not. My peony, which I can't wait for that to bloom. Lots of blooms on this. This is the third year, so it should be magnificent. Then I'll move back over to the planter. We just finished taking out the landscape fabric on. There's a view of it, the peony on the left there, the forsythia that I moved into this planter on the right, bunch of boxwoods, Shasta daisies, and liriope and ilex. And then behind it there, my little swoop of the cornflowers. There's my lemon coral sedum, the new plant I just put in. And we'll take you back and show you a better shot. Here's the second forsythia. And then we'll swoop over and show you the back of the first forsythia. There's a dahlia that I had four seeds left, only two of them came up, so I added those. And that's where we'll end it this week. This is a picture of the cornflower that we moved all those into drifts this time. I just want to thank you guys for being here, and we'll see you next week when we're working on getting some seeds and plants into the garden. Thanks, guys.